collectors and Simpson fans. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the Super 7 The Simpsons Ultimates Deep Space Homer. Now, some of you might not know this about me, but I am a massive Simpsons fan. Unfortunately, though, there's not a lot of stuff nowadays to really collect from that franchise. For the package, though, you can see you have the Simpsons logo right there with Deep Space Homer. It's done up in this brown mailer box, which, you know, we've seen that with a lot of their figures previously. And I'm going to open this up. I have not opened these yet, so I have no idea really what to expect in terms of in hand looking at them. I've seen these, you know, many times already, but in general, that's fairly standard for these guys. And of course, we got this plastic, which we're not going to keep. I'm going to rip this open and get that out of here. And I'm trying to do it without wrapping or bringing it around to the front because I don't want to see it just yet. Oh, that's a really thick bag. I mean, I guess I could have just opened it in a normal space, but I want you to guys watch me struggle with this because I'm kind of brain dead. There we go. There we are. And there we have a gorgeous animation of Homer floating around in his spacesuit. This was one of my favorite episodes. And one thing that I do like about what they have produced is that for the most part, they're fairly iconic deep cuts. Almost everybody kind of that is a fan of The Simpsons remembers the episode where Homer became an astronaut and is saved by an inanimate carbon rod, which is funny. But I love the cloud aspect, which really does carry on from the opening scene of The Simpsons. Come around the bottom, you got labels, all that kind of stuff. Come around here to the front of the box, and then, of course, it says The Simpsons again, very much like it's coming out of the clouds in that opening scene. Now, let's lift this up. I almost don't know if I want to open this because these might turn out to be collectible. I have no idea. But I love that. You got Deep Space Homer appearing, oh wow, way back in 1994. That is amazing. Season 5, so much fun. You got the potato chips that he very stupidly opens while he's in zero G. Oh no, watch out, they're ruffled. Something like that. I don't know. Let's come around, take a look, and wow. Absolutely. And look, you do get the inanimate carbon rod, which is a little bit more kind of glow-in-the-dark green that I kind of expected it to be, but super hilarious. Bunch of different hands. You got a couple different heads, a bag of chips, a whole bunch of individual chips. Really very cool. I love it. I know that people will complain saying that they really should have given us, and I keep hitting my camera, the core family initially, and then went with the deep cuts before. I can understand why they didn't. Knowing them, they probably wanted to go through as many Simpson characters as humanly possible. And when you've been on the air for 30 plus years, there's a lot of characters to get to. And if you give all the main characters to us right up front, it's probably going to limit people's interest in this going forward. So I get the logic behind it, but apparently Disney did not. But I am super excited to get this because, like I said, this is definitely a favorite character look from an episode that I've liked for many years. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. And here we have Deep Space Homer opened up and out of his packaging. And I know that some people are going to be like, Paul, why are you even bothering to review these? We all know that Super7 has lost the license to create these figures. And I don't want to get into too much of that sort of speculation. Should they have released the core family first? Or at least sooner? I mean, we can sit here and speculate all day. I just want to focus on the figures and the review for them. But what I will say is that it is absolutely unfortunate and really quite tragic that they did lose the license and that Disney didn't have more faith in what Super7 was trying to do. Because this is an outstanding figure. Starting off first, early in the episode, Homer kind of gets a little bit upset because he's due for Employee of the Week. And right when he thinks that he's finally going to get it, Mr. Burns gets up there and talks about how it's been long overdue, that he can't believe that it's taken this long, and that's for this inanimate carbon rod to become Employee of the Week.
Compadres, it is imperative that we crush the freedom fighters before the start of the rainy season. And remember, a shiny new donkey for whoever brings me the head of Colonel Montoya. What? And by that I mean, of course, it's time for the Worker of the Week award. I can't believe we've overlooked this week's winner for so very, very long. We simply could not function without his tireless efforts. So, a round of applause for this inanimate carbon rod.
Inanimate, huh? I'll show him inanimate! Yay!
And, going back and looking at it, honestly, this is a pretty good color. This kind of neonish or glow-in-the-dark color works pretty good. But it is just a green-colored rod, but hilarious. And I absolutely love it. He also does come with a bag of chips that you can see. It says potato chips. He smuggled this onto the spaceship, and he's like, look what I brought. And then he rips the bag open, and then a whole bunch of Ruffle-style potato chips release into the air.
It's beautiful. It's the most awe-inspiring sight I have ever seen. Giver of life, mother of us all. Hey guys, look what I smuggled aboard.
Homer, no!
Huh? They'll clog the instruments!
Careful, they're ruffled.
And these are super tiny. You can see they are, I don't know where that went. There it is. You get a total of 7 of them, but they are super, super tiny. But I love the fact that you get them, and they are in this rippled shape. And as Homer was trying to correct that little mistake, flying around in 0G, he could not stop. In his head, crashed into this ant colony that they brought with him to see how ants would kind of be in space.
You fool! Now we may never know if ants can be trained to sort tiny screws in space.
And you have that as well. You can even see that it's got this little back section here that helps it stand, which is really quite fun. You do get several different pairs of hands in addition to some relaxed ones here. You get a right and left hand that are, that are a little bit more of a closed grip kind of thing. So obviously he can hold his inanimate carbon rod, and then you also do get some fist, which I don't remember. Oh no, there was a scene where he was fighting with the other astronauts, so maybe, something like that. You do get a helmet that you can use very easily with this suit, but it's fairly simple, but real nice paint, white. You got these little blue elements, clear section, and literally you just bring this over, and it just frictions down, and you have that, but you can take it off as well if you were so inclined. So lots of fun accessories, lots of real cool stuff, and it's all very specific to the episode, which I think is fantastic. You also do get a total of 3 different heads with them, and again, they're all fairly specific to the episode. But starting off with the one that he comes with in package, you can see it's just a standard sort of head sculpt. It's just him very neutral looking, but absolutely fantastic. You got his little bearded section, you have the eyes, all look very, very nice. Paint on here is really very good. I love how he's got the little zigzags going around, and then you got the 2 little individual hairs, and I like how those are softer as well. One thing, though, that I will say, though, is that this is a cool little touch right here. It says, insert brain here. Bart did this earlier in the episode. So while that's a nice nod, when he was wearing the spacesuit, he didn't have that on him. So it's kind of weird. I mean, it's not bad. You're really not going to see it or anything, and I do like it, but I feel like it's a little unnecessary. But still fairly cool. But you do have this more iconic, that's very fun, but you don't have the paint on the back of it. And then you have one with an open mouth that is very much like him floating through space, eating those potato chips. That's really weird, but I love the fact that they got the tongue sculpted in there. You have his teeth. Again, very, very nice detail all the way around. Swapping them is a bit of a chore for the most part. You really gotta put some torque on this thing to pop that off. And then you can take this, and some of these go on easier than others, and that one, there we go. That is really quite tough to do, but you can see now you can have them like do 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 crunch crunch, and I love it. I think that that's really very cool, but again, getting them off is very difficult to do. You got the peg right here, which I almost feel like all that force is gonna break it at some point in time, but get that on there. As for their figure itself, again, fantastic looking. They really do nail the look. I love the fact that they got all the small details like NASA right there. You have that little patch that they wore throughout the episode. You got the different hose attachments all the way around. You got the American flag right there. All of it is extremely well done and looks fantastic. And of course, when you take that on there and just friction that on, that just really completes the look. Now, one other thing is that when they were going into space, it's kind of funny because Homer's face was getting and actually morphed into Richard Nixon. So I feel like they could have included a Richard Nixon portrait to go along with that. That would have been fun, but probably a stretch for the most part. But very, very cool all the way around. And he's a very rotund figure, which obviously Homer is. And they capture it very nicely. But it's not really limited by the articulation on him, which is quite impressive as well. The head is on that ball joint, as you can see. You do got a little bit of gappage right down there, which does get a little bit ugly, but you do get a full range of motion with it. Come down to the shoulders, you can hinge those about that far out. Not a lot, but you do get some, which is nice. And again, the suit is pretty bulky, so what they were able to put in there is pretty good. Nice rotation right there. The elbows do hinge forward and back and then also rotate around. Very nice stiff joints on this particular figure, which is good to see. The wrists can rotate and then they also can hinge forward and back. Also, you do have a bit of a ball joint at his diaphragm thing, and then obviously when you rotate it, it breaks up that look, which, you know, it is what it is, but at least the articulation is there. I would rather have that than not have it, if that makes sense. Some people will probably prefer to have like no articulation joint right there, which I guess I could see that as well. It probably wouldn't bother me that much, but I like the fact that it's included. The hips do move forward, back, they move in and out. There's a very large ball joint there, so while there's no actual rotation there, the ball joint has a lot of space to have that rotation kind of still happen. The knees bend, they also rotate right below the knee, which is good to see. I love the fact that they have that in there as well. So all that articulation is still a part of it. Is this one actually rotating? That one feels like it's not. So, oh, no, there it goes. Just needed to pop that joint. So you have that. You have ankles that do move forward pretty decently. Move back, not as much, but you also do have a rotation there as well. So, again, absolutely fantastic representation of Homer from that episode that it just really does disappoint me that we're not going to be getting that much more from them. And like I said, it is unfortunate. I'm not going to harp on it too terribly much. I'm not going to, place blame or anything. I just want to stay focused on the figure. And for the most part, I think that they did an amazing job. Great accessories. Again, very specific to the episode itself. This is a solid piece, too. I was just noticing that's very heavy. But very specific to the episode, which absolutely makes sense because that's what he's supposed to do. And in general, just really did turn out very, very nicely. But there you go, guys. There's my look at Deep Space Homer from the ill-fated Super 7 Simpsons Ultimates line. Now, one thing that has come out of all of this with Super 7, these figures right now are pretty decently discounted. You can get the entire first wave, which I will be reviewing here on the channel very soon, for about 40% off the initial retail price, which is outstanding and a great way to add these to your collection. So for that, I'm going to put a link right down there in the video description, which will take you to Big Bad Toy Store, and you can add the first wave to your collection today. Don't miss out. I really think that these are worth having, even though that the line is not continuing with Super 7. I can definitely see these becoming highly sought after in the future. But as always, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in and watching. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you're here on my channel and you're new and don't want to miss out on a future review, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And until next time, this is Optibotimus saying adios, au revoir, and auf Wiedersehen.